like to do some storytelling today. Not a story I made up, I just thought it'd be fun to share. I thought it was funny. Every time I've ever shared it with a friend of mine, they thought it was funny. And, share it with you guys. Instead of just sharing ridiculous skits on here. I remember one time that I was going to a friend's 21st birthday party. My friend's name was Nate. Nathaniel. He was turning 21. That was in 2013. Yeah, 2013. And because that's the same year I turned 21. But he was having a house show. He was having a little concert. There was gonna be originally there was gonna be a guy doing comedy and two bands playing. Both bands were out of Cookville, and I believe it was Kayak Weather and Find a Burrito, or Find a Burrito as they used to like to make fun of themselves with. And he wanted somebody else to perform. He originally asked for another band, but no one was replying to him, so I offered to do some poetry. And I was going to end up performing first. It was going to be me performing poetry, the comedy, and then two bands. So, this sounds really shallow, but I bought a bottle. It was one of those good sized bottles, about the medium sized bottle of honey flavored Jack Daniels. And I thought, well, it's his first birthday party. I have a little bit extra money on my check, or his 21st birthday party. I have some money on my check. So, I bought a bottle. No, not too expensive. Anyway, at least not the store I went to. Nate had to run out to do a couple pre-birthday errands. So, like, within the hour and a half before the show actually started, when I got to the house, I had a couple beers, to loosen up. So I feel more comfortable getting to know people I didn't know. When Nate got back, I was like, man, I've got some Jack Daniels for you if you want it. Go ahead and have it. And he's like, well, thank you, ma'am. I might get some later. I was like, well, shit. But he said it in a way that was like, oh, I don't really want it, kind of behind the wall meaning, So in that, hour and a half before the show started, I pretty much drank that whole bottle of Jack Daniels. And trust me, by the time that show started and it was time for me to perform, I was drunk as a motherfucking skunk. There were no seats. Like, okay, see, there's a drum set in the living room area for the bands, and there was no seat in front of us. So I was like, I actually didn't have confidence in myself to walk over the cables and around the drum stuff without looking like an idiot, because I was so drunk. So I was like, somebody please get that seat for me. So I sat down. I was originally going to do like one 5-minute poem that I had written, like, I think it was it's about 2 months before the show happened. It's called Pregnant Cigarette. I think the longest, I have 2 or 3 recordings on Bandcamp of it. I think the longest recording that I have of it is like 5 minutes, and the shortest one's like just under 2. And I was gonna do that one. I was really gonna spend about 7 minutes up there, a little bit of talking, doing the poem. I tried to find the video so I could link it in the description. I literally spent half an hour to do a fucking 5-minute poem. It's kind of a situation I would like say a couple lines of it. I once worked with a girl, and I don't say girl because of her age, but it's because of the way she acted. And then I'd say a couple more lines, and somebody would say something, and because I was really in a good mood, but I was drunk, I had no filter on that night, so I'd always be like, well, what'd you say, man? And they'd be like, oh, no, nothing, I was just kind of thinking out loud, they'd be talking to somebody else. I was like, well, I mean, you were kind of looking at me when you said that a little bit, so I was just wondering what you said. And then I'd, maybe say another line or two. And apparently, according to some of the people that night, I was funnier than the actual, comedy guy was. Because I got told, I actually caught myself a couple times would be like falling out of my seat a little bit, leaning over. Even though I was drunk, I was still straight-minded, and I heard somebody say something about abortion one time, and I was like, well, let me tell you about abortion, and I'd go off on this little rant about it. And half the time that I was performing, I'd end up going off on rants or start having side conversations with other people about stuff I heard them talking about. It was weird because it was like, there was one time I'd say a couple more lines of the poem, and then someone said something about, I don't know, but for some reason something they were saying about women I didn't think was respectful. They were saying something about, along the lines of, oh, I'd take a hoe any day. And I'd be like, well, man, you don't need a hoe, man. You never know what they've got until you've already done something with them half the time. And, I'm a faithful guy. I've been in 2 relationships since I was 16. And both of them are very good women. I'm currently engaged to the second relationship. But it's like, you don't need to be passing around a hoe. They have no respect for themselves or you. If you can find a good woman to stick it out with, that's what you need to do, because in the long run, you'll be happier with your life that way. And I know there were other things I said with it, but I'd hear, whether it was good things or things I disagreed with, half the time I'd go off on like a 5-minute or so spiel about that, and then I'd forget about what I was doing. And a couple times I had to ask people while I was actually sitting up there, because I actually forgot why I was there. And I remember one time while I was sitting up there, I was still holding the bottle of Jack, and in the bottle there was about this much Jack left, so it wasn't a whole lot to concern yourself with, but I was like, I wanted to take a sip of it, because while I was up there, I was finishing the bottle, off. And I remember I was like in the last quarter of the poem. I had about 5 left poem. Fuck. Sorry, I had about 5 lines of the poem left. I had about this much Jack left. I was holding the bottle. The bottle was right there in my fucking hand. And I had about 5 lines left. I made about halfway through the second one of the last 5. I start looking around because I forgot I was holding it. And I thought I had left it on, the little living room table next to where I had been sitting before I started performing. And, I was holding it in my left hand down in my lap. I started looking around. And I thought someone had stolen it, so I'm looking around. Where the fuck's my jack? Where the fuck is my jack? Everybody started to look kind of startled at first, like, oh my god, got drunk in the room, he's about to start some shit. And then they all just chilled out a little. They all got a humored look on their face, and somebody pointed to me, he's like, man, it's right there in your hand. And I put both my hands up. I didn't even register my eyesight, didn't even register. I'm holding it in my hand when I held it up. So I was like, what the fuck you talk? Oh, shit, man, I thought somebody stole it. I actually thought somebody stole, like, this much of a bottle of Jack that I had left. And I was actually about to get pissed about that. I actually got pissed about that a little bit. I was about ready to start some shit. But it was just funny because, like, no matter how I came across people, I always meant things in a good vibe besides the idea that I thought somebody stole my Jack. Because I remember there would be a few times, there was like 3 or 4 times that I'd be sitting there and zoning out a little bit, or it'd be the way I was saying something or something I was talking about. I'd see a few people just smiling at me. A couple of them be kind of awkward because, I'm drunk and I'm not really going anywhere. But then they'd be smiling at me all humored like. I'd be like, what are you smiling at, man? He's like, there was this one guy, I had never met him before. And I don't think I ever met him again. I asked him, man, what you smiling at? Because he'd been staring at me a few minutes, just smiling, looking all happy. He's like, nothing, man. You're just cracking me up. You're sending out a good message, and it's just funny seeing you up there drunk because you're always about to fall out of your chair. And I'm really disappointed that I had the video from that night. It was about half an hour long, filmed, and it's on my Earth Limitation channel. It was set to private. And I was going to link it in the description of this video so you could actually watch it. But I'm going to go through my videos some more and soon. And if I find it, I will put it in the description. The link for it in the description of this video, because it's actually kind of funny. I'd like you guys to watch it. But anyway, peace out. Hopefully I'll have some more better quality, better Plano skits for you soon. And hopefully at least a couple live performances soon. And because I don't have any live performances on my computer anymore that I did. But like I said, I do plan to start uploading more stuff, better quality stuff, better storyline. If I find the video from that show I was telling you about, I'll put it in the description below. And scale it. Peace out.